wanted to give everybody an update on kind of what's been going on with the Iran conflict. Of course, there's all sorts of news out there. There's a lot of misinformation, some of which is unfortunately coming from our own administration. But neither here nor there. I kind of first wanted to start off by talking about the U.S. military aircraft that crashed over Iraq. And we lost six soldiers in that, and so our heart goes out to their families, and we certainly thank them for their service. That's was terrible news, and from what we understand, it wasn't an aircraft that was shot down in some sort of targeted attack or anything like that. From what we know, not sure exactly what happened, but
I heard it was a collision, maybe.
There were two apparently aircraft refueling aircraft that were involved in this. I believe one landed safely, the other did not.
Oh, geez.
And so it might have been a collision. I'm not sure, but we certainly wanted to,
hearts go out.
Go out. I mean, any day that we lose a U.S. Service member is a solemn day, and so we thank them for their service and their sacrifice. And we thank all the troops that are involved in the region, in the Middle East. We thank you for your service and your sacrifice as well. I was just talking to Josh, and one thing that, in an effort to keep people up to speed and point out inconsistencies, one thing that I wanted to always make sure to be careful of is to come across as though this is, the United States is involved in a conflict that I don't want to see us prevail in.
Right.
I would certainly have liked to not see us be involved at this level, but we are involved.
Yeah.
And while I think that
in it to win it. Yeah.
Yeah, we got it. We have to be. I mean, I was listening to a gentleman, Robert Pape, who is he's been looking at a lot of these issues for a very long time, as far as kind of game planning, what war with Iran would look like. And one of the things that he spoke about here recently was this idea of trying to figure out what are the motivations, or not so much the motivations, but what does Trump want to get out of this?
Right.
And I think much like, anybody, the president has to be concerned about his legacy.
Right.
I have to believe that he doesn't want, now that we're involved, to leave a region in complete chaos and have that be, what he's remembered for.
Or our partners over there in worse shape than what they were,
Yeah, that's exactly right. I spoke on one of our episodes about this trip that I had took to Jordan, and during the Syrian civil war. And one of the things that the Jordanians were really concerned about throughout that conflict was what the impact was going to be on their country, being that they're a neighbor in the Middle East, and how dramatically their tourism industry had been impacted by a lot of the chaos in a number of things.
Jordan has a lot of tourists, huh? I didn't even know people went there for.
Oh, it's an incredible. I mean, you got Wadi Rum, which is where they filmed the movie. I believe, what was it, The Martian? Where the guys on Mars.
Never thought. Yeah.
Oh, it's this vast desert that.
I know you said it was super cool there. It kind of made me want to go.
Well, it's not cheap to get to, but fortunate for me, a lot of the travels that I did came with part of my job, and so
part of that waste, fraud, and abuse.
But now I'm putting it to good work out here. I haven't been in the government for a while, but it's certainly been a privilege to be able to have learned some of the things that I learned. I certainly don't know it all. I don't want to pretend like I know it all, but I know some stuff, and it's fun to be able to take a lot of that knowledge that I got from my experience in Washington and put it to practical use to help people stay up to date, stay informed as to, from my perspective, why I'm so concerned with a lot of the ways that I see the government operating, which is very different from the way that the government has historically operated.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for people to understand how for all of us to understand how our government works, because if we don't know how things are supposed to work, well, then, the likelihood that we might not be alarmed when something far from the norm is happening.
Right.
Do we even know that it's not normal?
Right.
With that said, I know a lot of folks, voted for this administration to go and shake up Washington, drain the swamp. From my perspective, there's a lot that's been taking place that seems to be the opposite of that. But we will save that for another day. The focus on this episode needs to be Iran, because there's a lot that's happening. And one thing I wanted to do is kind of give people, because in order to understand this conflict, I think it's important to understand how we got here. And so one of the things that I wanted to do is give people kind of a quick historical background, timeline, if you will, of some of the events that have led up to Operation Epic Fury. And this goes back, all the way till, right after World War I, when we had the Sykes-Picot Agreement that essentially divided up the Middle East amongst the imperial powers in a way that I think a lot of what we see is a direct result of that. When you get imperial powers involved, they're not concerned about the ethnic differences or the cultural differences, religious differences of a group of people. They are more or less in a position to take what land they want without taking any of those other things into account. And Sykes-Picot was kind of what that was after World War I, and the Middle East was just kind of divided up into areas that largely don't resemble anymore what they look like for the vast majority of their existence. And so you had that took place, which caused a lot of disruption in the Middle East. And then, you fast forward to the 50s, and this is where it kind of starts getting interesting, because that was when the United States, along with the Brits, kind of got involved in helping install the Shah into Iran. And at that time, you can kind of imagine, we didn't help install the Shah because we thought he was going to be opposed to our interests, right?
Right.
He was a Western-aligned individual who largely operated based off of what the United States and the British felt were our national security interests at that time. And a lot of it revolved around oil specifically, as much of all of these things do. But what we learned from the Shah's period in power was that a lot of the wealth that was being generated by the vast oil reserves and production that was taking place in Iran, that wasn't being felt, as far as the people were concerned. And so you had this individual that the people perceived as serving a lot of the Western world's objectives and strategic interests, while the people weren't benefiting from that. And we've seen this time and time again throughout history. Cuba is a great example of that. We talked about that on a previous episode. And so in the time that the Shah was in power, you had the Ayatollah, which, it's my understanding was not in Iran. He had kind of been taking refuge in Russia, I believe. But his message was becoming more and more popular in Iran. And eventually, when the Shah fell and he fled to the United States, the Ayatollah was put back in power, and obviously a lot came with the.
So he was previously in power.
The Ayatollah.
The Ayatollah, yeah.
Well, you have to understand, Iran is and has been for. We're about to celebrate our 250 years as a country.
Yeah.
Right. These countries in the Middle East have been around for thousands of years.
Oh yeah.
Maybe different names, but thousands of years. You had the Persian Empire. You had, and I think oftentimes we make the mistake of thinking that we can just go into another region that, look, right now in America, we are having this very fascinating discussion around our own religion.
Yeah.
Where there's two competing interpretations of things. And you can say that's right or that's wrong, but the fact of the matter is there is a disagreement on some of the interpretations in the Bible. Now, if we're disagreeing as to what our own religion is saying or commanding of us, what makes us think then that we have the ability, and I think the right word is the audacity, to go into another incredibly complex region like the Middle East, and the idea that we're supposed to understand all the nuances, it's just not realistic in my opinion. And I think the United States has gotten itself in a lot of trouble because of this.
I think most people, me for example, I'm perfectly fine with them being another religion. That doesn't bother me at all. It's when their religion, Islam of course, crosses that line into being violent and dangerous and beheading Christians and beating their women and marrying children. And
sure,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
I do.
I'm perfectly fine. And I think like for most Westerners, that's just, they don't care that necessarily that they're a different religion. They care that that religion is so destructive or something.
Can be, certainly.
Yeah.
It can be, certainly. I mean, I know a lot of peaceful Muslims.
Yeah.
I know a lot of violent Christians.
Yeah.
You got to think, Christianity isn't exactly innocent when it comes to the more violent elements of it either. Perpetuated, gross atrocities perpetuated in the name of Christianity.
Yes.
Right?
Well, that was a long time ago. Now, modern times, I think is a little bit of a different story, but
is it? Because I have to. Here's the thing. I have to ask the question. When you look at some of the statements coming from this administration, people like Pete Hegseth, reports that are coming out about what this war in Iran is really about, how it's to help usher in the end times and the return of Jesus Christ. I mean, that seems pretty.
Did he actually say that? Because what I was reading was that it was and this
Pete Hegseth didn't say that.
Okay,
right. This is what we have learned through whistleblower complaints.
Yeah,
that some of the commanders within the military,
even that there were no whistleblowers. It was an anonymous source that said a commander.
There were 200 individuals though,
but not a single one was named. They were all anonymous.
Well, but whistleblowers are never named.
Yeah,
I mean that's kind of the point of being a whistleblower, right?
Yeah. But they didn't even take whistleblower status. Like they didn't.
But what is whistleblower status in the military?
Right.
I mean,
but from the story I read anyway, and it could be wrong, was that one commander with a large grin said, "What, you don't want to be part of the end of the ushering in the end of the world?" And to me, it's like, I don't know that that's a broad statement that the military's operating on.
And I'm not insinuating. Yeah. But if it's just that, then that's a lot different than a lot of the reports that I've read.
Right, yeah.
But if it's just that, I could see a statement like that being made in jest.
Right. Well, I don't even know if it was in jest. Maybe that commander thinks that, you know?
I will tell you this. Yeah. The pastor that Pete Hegseth invited to the Pentagon to speak at the Pentagon is a Christian nationalist who believes that women shouldn't be voting, who has a lot of extreme views.
Right.
And I can't remember his name, but I encourage you to look that guy up. This is, and it's my understanding Pete Hegseth has went to church with or has been attending this guy's church or being part of his service for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I guess neither here nor there. My only thing is I think within every religion, you have your extreme elements.
Right. Yes.
I think the overwhelming majority of Muslim people are not violent. And if you want to talk about them being violent, that's okay.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm certainly not trying to take up for ISIS.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I think if we're doing ourselves a disservice if all we're doing is focusing on them being violent instead of asking ourselves the question, what got them to be this way?
Yeah.
Because you could certainly just blame it on the religion.
Yeah.
But then we have to ignore the over 1 million civilians that we've killed in these countries as part of our operations.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, so I think the issue really is that, most of the Islam, most people in Islam are Muslims. They are good people, right? Mm-hmm. But the guys who are in charge are the ones that are the extremists, the ones who want to put out, kill the infidels and chop off heads and all that. I think that's my only problem. I'm perfectly fine with them. Like, I'm sure, Like there's ways you can interpret stuff, you know, in everyone's religion that seem and come off violent. But I think, to me, the guys that are in charge, when they literally come out and say, like they put out a broadcast on Iranian media, if you come out and you talk, you say any words against this regime, we will snatch you by the collar and silence you. Just think if Trump put one of those out.
Well, he has kind of. That was, I mean,
they will kill you.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that Trump will kill us.
Yeah,
right? But I think what this gets back to is the fact that you have an oppressive regime in Iran.
Yes.
And the way you continue to maintain power in an oppressive regime is through intimidation.
Yeah.
But if we understand that, I don't really see what is, and I'm not comparing Trump to being the Ayatollah.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that this administration is doing and acting in an oppressive way. If you're a journalist,
But we're allowed to say whatever we want. Without being killed, you know?
Here's the thing. We are certainly right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's going to lead to people being killed. But when you see the president of the United States who's going after journalists, critics, Supreme Court justices, all of which are getting death threats because of him.
Right.
I mean, that's not okay either.
Right.
And here's the deal, right? Like I saw recently North Korea put out a statement in response to our actions in Iran that made North Korea seem somewhat logical when we know they're not.
Yeah.
But we've now put ourselves in a position to where we no longer are the standard bearers.
Right.
We can certainly act like we are, but the rest of the world is looking at us like we're hypocrites.
Right.
And if we're going to be the country that says we oppose these things for these moral reasons, then we can't be the same country that then goes and blows up a school in Iran, killing 160 or 170 young girls, and then our president lies about it. Not just lies about it, but then he blames it on the Iranian regime. Now, you and I both know Iran does not have Tomahawk missiles.
Right.
We know it was a Tomahawk missile, or at least that's what all the evidence suggests.
By a video that was just so happened to be trained on that school, sitting on a tripod as it was exploded.
Well, look, I will say this.
I mean, the way I think of it is,
then why not just deny it?
I agree.
Because here's the thing.
Yeah.
Our military is the military.
Yeah.
If it wasn't us, we would know it.
Right. Yeah.
So why not just deny it then, instead of saying we're investigating it?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Members of Congress who have been briefed on this.
And I mean, and it's kind of heartless to say, but it's like, also, you know, in war there are like casualties that you didn't intend, which are terrible, and I think it's terrible that happened. You know what I'm saying?
For sure, right?
Yeah.
And it's not lost on me that there are casualties.
Yeah.
But when you have the Secretary of Defense during a press gathering say we're no longer going to abide by stupid rules of engagement,
right?
When he goes beyond that to slash the one office that is tasked with helping our government investigate these sorts of crimes, and prevent these sorts of things, that's not a good look. Now, I'm sure there's plenty of room for us to argue back and forth as to whether or not this was intentional.
Right.
From all the evidence that and the reports I've read, it seems as though we had some outdated targeting equipment.
Right.
But again, rules of engagement, and you know, I'm sure a lot of service members could speak to this more eloquently than I can. They're not just to protect civilians. They're to protect us as well.
Right.
And I go back to the Iraq war here because in Iraq, we had there were a lot of similarities to what we're seeing. For example, with the fall of Saddam Hussein, were people dancing in the streets. You probably remember that image that a lot of people remember of them pulling down that giant statue of Saddam Hussein. Yeah. Right. And people were happy. They were excited. But it didn't stay that way. It didn't stay that way. And then you start seeing civilians getting killed. And all of a sudden, the attitude that a lot of the civilians have towards our military shifts.
Yeah.
And it doesn't shift overnight, and it doesn't shift out of nowhere. It shifts because while they were happy to get rid of one oppressor, that doesn't mean that they want to welcome another.
Right.
And for example, in Venezuela right now, which I know has not gotten a lot of attention, very little has changed on the ground in Venezuela.
Yeah.
A lot of folks are still living under an oppressive
Actually,
regime.
I just saw that the Venezuelan stock market is skyrocketing right now. Like their economy is starting to do well.
Oil is also
Yeah.
$100 a barrel.
Which surprised me. I'm like, no way. And so I looked up. Yeah, it's skyrocketing.
That's
And,
interesting. Yeah, I would be very fascinated to know
what's driving
that. Yeah, I'd be interested to know. But as far as the quality of life, I mean, when the stock market goes up in the United States, do poor people care about that?
No,
they don't care about that. Yeah. I mean, if you're wealthy and you're invested in stocks, you care a lot about that, right? That means more money for you. But I'm always cautious to use the stock market as being the indicator of how
well a country's doing.
Not just a country, but how well the average person in a country is doing. Yeah. Because the idea that most Venezuelans are investing in stocks seems a little bit...
Well, I mean, you can look at it like this. So if the stock market's up, it should mean jobs, right? It should mean investment.
It should.
And it's like if all the economies hold true, people should benefit from it. But is it going to be now? Probably not. It's and I think
these things take time.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing with Iran. Let's say that you get rid of all the nuclear material, you get blah 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 blah. All the bad guys are dead. It's not going to be turned around in 5 years. It's not going to be turned around in probably 15 years. And I don't know that the administration's making the mistake, or I know all the media is. Everyone in media, and I think just normal people, of thinking that even declaring a victory is a thing. It's you can't declare victory for another 30 years. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that it needs to last that long.
Right.
But you don't know if this getting rid of these bad guys isn't going to usher in a new bad guy.
And I
whatever.
think that's the danger.
Yeah.
Right? Because the president is out touting this as though this is a conflict that's already won.
Right.
The classic, George Bush cruising in on the
propaganda.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
It's man, have we learned nothing? Now, here's what I will say. And then we'll get back to sort of the background on this, how we've got here, what's been the timeline, and where we are now. I don't think that there's a single person who does not want to see a more free, more prosperous Iran.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think most people wanted to see that in Iraq. Most people wanted to see that everywhere that the United States has had a footprint.
Yeah.
But in order, I think, to get to that point, you have to be realistic. You have to have very clear goals and objectives. You have to be transparent with the American people. Because when you're not transparent with the American people and a war starts dragging out longer and longer and longer, more coffins are getting sent back to America in larger numbers, Americans are going to start asking the question, what are we doing this for? And you risk losing the popular support, which this war was already at the bottom of, this war did not have support.
Yeah.
Most people who have been paying attention to this conflict, I mean, this was a very unpopular war of choice. And I say war of choice because Iran didn't strike us first. Now you can say, oh, well, they've killed untold number of service members, and which is true.
Cost us billions every year in defending our allies.
And but you have to remember, in 1988, we blew up Flight 655. We killed 290 Iranian civilians. So this stuff like this doesn't happen.
What was the?
It was an accident.
Oh wow! Just with a missile, or
yeah, we didn't mean to do it.
Yeah,
it was an accident.
Yeah,
but we killed a number of Iranian civilians. conflicts like this don't just happen overnight.
Right.
Which is why I think the historical background of this is important, because the United States has been meddling in Iran for a very long time. And the genesis, when you really break it down on a simple level, it all goes back to energy, specifically oil.
For sure. Yeah.
And we have been meddling for a very long time.
Now, here's an interesting fact. Speaking of oil,
yeah, please.
90% of China's oil comes from Iran.
Mm-hmm.
You know why Japan attacked Pearl Harbor?
Well, I know that we were strangling them.
We should cut off their oil supply.
Yeah, it was a full on, and that's exactly right.
Yeah.
I mean, most people don't even think about it through that lens. Do you think Hitler loved Japanese people? That they just had these values that brought them naturally together, so they were aligned?
Yeah.
Well, of course not.
Yeah.
Of course not. I mean, security at the end of the day is what conflicts go back to.
Yeah.
You want to be secure, whether that mean economically, from an energy standpoint, or from secure from potential attacks.
Yeah.
And Iran, I think, meets a lot of those categories. And here's why I say that. When you look at the history of Iran and you start focusing on what was it that even led to Iran and the Ayatollah coming back to power in Iran, well, it goes back to oil. That's why the Brits and the U.S. were there in the 50s.
Yeah.
Right? We had a Shah that was essentially, he was kind of our guy.
Yeah.
I think a lot of Iranians saw him as being corrupt. He gets overthrown by a religious cleric in the Ayatollah. Ayatollah comes to power. He says, I want the Shah to be returned to Iran. The United States wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
We have the Iranian hostage crisis, which is another major flashpoint. We have the Iranian Revolution. And since 79, the Ayatollah has been in power, and he's had a death grip on the country.
Yeah.
And not to mention the fact that we supported Iraq in the war against Iran back in the day, too. I mean, these people, it's not like they don't have a reason to dislike us.
Right. Yeah.
That's just not rational. It's not logical. They have a reason to not like us. And it's not just about the fact that we're Americans. I mean, we've done a lot in the Middle East that has disrupted the Middle East in such a way that we're still seeing the ramifications of it. And we will be for a very long time.
I would actually make a distinction between the Iranian people and the regime.
That's thank you for that.
Yeah.
I think that's very important for people to understand too. For example, most Russians don't support Putin necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most Russians are looking around and they're wondering why their economy stinks so bad.
Yeah.
Right? They're wondering, why are we going to fight in this war against Ukraine? You have to make the distinction between the government and the people.
Yes.
Look at America.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where the president has an incredibly low approval rating.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is what I'm getting back to, right?
Yeah.
Human beings, more or less, are all motivated by the same things. Yeah. And we let ourselves fall victim to geography in thinking that we're all so different.
Yeah. Yeah.
When in reality, we're not. We want to take care of our family.
Yeah.
We want to be somewhat financially secure so we can take care of our family. We want a roof over our head. We want to be able to feed our family. Yeah. We want safety, security, right? Yeah. Is it Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Yeah.
These aren't just American things that
it's human things.
It's human things.
Yeah.
And it's been human things since humans have been human.
Yeah.
And so I think we have to remember that. And so to get us back on track here to Iran, one of the things that I wanted to talk about, right, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, that was the 2015 agreement, the JCPOA, that was negotiated under Barack Obama when he was president. And that agreement allowed for a number of things, but with the ultimate goal of it was to limit Iran's enrichment abilities by giving the United States and our allies more access on the ground via inspectors to be able to know what they're doing, when they're doing it, and hold them accountable when they're violating the rules.
Yeah.
Now, was the agreement perfect? Well, of course it wasn't perfect. I've never been or heard of a negotiation that goes perfectly the way that one party wants it to go.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's not a negotiation.
No. Yeah.
Right?
That's a hostage negotiation,
yeah,
maybe.
it's me putting a gun to your head and saying, do this, or let's see what your brains look like on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Negotiations fundamentally don't work that way. Negotiations, best case scenario, you get the majority of what you want. Some stuff you don't get. In the case of the JCPOA, one of the big weaknesses within it was limiting Iran's missile development, right?
Yeah.
They had given us and agreed to limit enrichment capacity.
Right.
Was it perfect? No, it wasn't. You know, you often hear the story about how Barack Obama flew $400 billion, I think it was million, in different denominations on a
Filled
pallet.
top to bottom.
We gave, like, as if we gave them this money.
Yeah.
That money was their money. We just unfroze it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the idea that the United States taxpayer paid for Iran to have, to get. No, that was their money. We had it in frozen assets.
Yeah.
We gave it back to the Iranians. We did lift some sanctions.
Yeah.
And by and large, though, the point of the agreement was not to completely end Iran's enrichment capability, but it was to limit it. And it was that agreement was to give us more insights into the activities that were going on within Iran.
Yeah.
2018 comes around. President Trump, who has been a critic of the agreement, decides to tear that agreement up.
Yeah.
And when you tear that agreement up, you're not just losing we didn't just lose credibility as a nation.
Well, I will say, though, with that agreement, like even under that agreement, we attacked their nuclear capabilities, like with the Stuxnet virus and all that stuff. Like, so maybe, there was an agreement, but I think maybe they weren't sticking to it strictly.
Sure, but how did we know that?
Well, because we killed multiple scientists. How
did we know they weren't sticking to the agreement?
Well, so the only thing I know is that we destroyed their nuclear capabilities, supposedly at their heavy water facilities and stuff, because we installed a virus that literally stayed on their machines for months. Nobody knew about it. And then it slowly ramped up the speed that it was spinning to where they spun so fast that it destroyed the machines. And I think that was under Obama that attack was laid out.
But that's my question, right? Like, how did we?
I don't know. I'm assuming they did that because they were going too far. But I don't know.
Well, and I think that was probably the case.
Yeah.
My question is, how did we know they were not abiding by the rules of the JCPOA?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Because if it were me, I think the one assumption that we could maybe make is that we knew that because we had more eyes as to what was going on with their activities.
Yeah.
Eyes that we don't have anymore.
Yeah.
And so in the lead up to this conflict that we now see ourselves in, Trump enters into another negotiation with the Iranians, right? And Oman has a representative that is acting as the intermediary between the parties. And I want to play a video.
Tell me when you're ready,
Josh, because this is what the Oman representative said in terms of the negotiations just before the United States made the decision to strike.
You got your volume over there?
And Iran. And he shared for the very first time
People hear this?
Yeah, they can.
details on the record about the deal on the table. We've not heard these anywhere else. Here's how he described the important breakthrough he said has never been achieved any time before. Take a listen.
What has Iran agreed to you that they have never done before?
Again, this is Oman's representative directly involved in the talks.
Achievement, I believe, is the agreement that Iran will never ever have a nuclear material that will create a bomb. This is, I think, a big achievement. This is something that is not in the old deal that was negotiated during President Obama's time. This is something completely new. It really makes the enrichment argument less relevant.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it real quickly because what he's essentially saying is that the agreement that they were working towards before we struck Iran was better than the JCPOA. Trump's big thing has always been, I can negotiate a better agreement.
Yeah.
Right? That was. I mean, you're talking about the guy he's the art of the deal dude.
Yeah.
Right? Like his whole thing was about being able to be a stronger negotiator. Okay? So now here we have a situation where the Oman representative...
Wait, hold on. It's brain blast.
Sure.
Okay. So we were talking about leverage in negotiations.
Mm-hmm.
Just think of how much leverage he has now in a negotiation.
They're not going to negotiate with
Yeah.
you. Like, you don't have any leverage now.
Yeah.
You've entered now twice with the United States, or 3 times, into good faith negotiations to come to an agreement. All 3 times we have violated it.
So you don't think that he has more leverage now that they have no Navy, no missile launch capability?
Let me tell you what Iran has.
Yeah.
Right? If we had the negotiation, and I think there was even a report that came out not a few days ago, where Trump was saying, "Oh, they want to talk to us, they want to negotiate," and the Iranians are saying, "No, we don't. We're done with negotiating."
Yeah.
That's not to say that there might not be some sort of agreement that comes out of this.
Right.
But I think the Iranians right now, and again, Ayatollah Khamenei, as we were talking about earlier, Josh, had issued 2 fatwas, religious orders against, and essentially saying, we will not develop a nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
2 fatwas. We kill Ayatollah Khamenei. And I say we, the Israelis killed Ayatollah Khamenei. It was an Israeli bomb that killed Ayatollah Khamenei, and it was an Israeli bomb that killed everybody he was with.
When did he release that fatwa?
I'd have to look. I could probably Google it real quick. The conversation right now, though, focuses more on what is his son going to do.
Right, yeah.
So let's.
Oh, was that February 28th?
March 1st, 2026.
March 1st.
Although here, let me click on this because that doesn't make any sense. At that point, we would have already struck them.
The only reason I
February 11th, 2025.
Okay. The only reason I say that is because, something we were talking about beforehand, with they supposedly open negotiations with, well, we have the ability to build, in a few weeks, build 16 bombs or whatever. So.
Right. Now, keep in mind, when you're in a negotiation, do you want to seem
strong? Yeah.
Right. The big mistake we made whenever we toppled Saddam Hussein was that he had weapons of mass destruction.
Right.
Why? Because he told us he had weapons of mass destruction. But why did Saddam Hussein say he had weapons of mass destruction? He did not want. He wanted Iran to think that he had weapons of mass destruction.
For sure.
So Iran didn't invade Iraq.
Yeah.
A lot of the Middle East is like this. It's a lot of bluster.
Yeah.
You got to make yourself seem stronger.
For me, I 100% get that. For me, I'm just sitting here thinking, why would you enter into negotiations for no nuclear bombs by saying, hey, here in a couple of weeks, we can get a couple nuclear bombs? That's kind of like, to me, it's like saying, let's say,
and I don't know that they said that.
Yeah.
I assume you fact checked that and
John Fetterman, that guy,
Democrat. I like. He's okay, but he's had
that's my source.
Like 6 strokes.
Yeah, that's my source, and also the nuclear agency, blah 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 blah, safety agency, also said that they had enriched up to 60% or whatever.
Which is true.
Yeah. So he's the one who said that they opened because he's for the war. Mm-hmm. He's a Democrat. He's for the war, but yeah, he had a stroke at the start of his he's turn in office, and I was like.
He's an interesting guy.
Yeah, but he said that he's for the war, And he said that the reason is because they literally opened the discussions with, here in a few weeks, we can have 11 or 16.
So let's assume
Yeah.
that that is true.
Yeah.
How is that any different than what we've already said?
That.
Because we
Yeah.
struck them
Yeah.
because we said
Yeah. No.
that they could
yeah.
have.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
if,
yeah.
so if you're Iran, right?
Yeah.
What good does it do you at that point to enter into negotiation when the opposing party negotiating with you has said, we know you have nuclear weapons, we know you're working on or scratch that, we know you have the enrichment capabilities
Yeah.
to build bombs.
Yeah.
Why would you, being in the negotiations, then enter into that negotiation by saying, no, we don't?
Well, because I think if I was Iran, I'd be like, listen, we're not making anything. You guys have been wrong this whole time.
Right.
Like we want peace. We want peace in the Middle East, just like
Yes.
you guys do. We want to be able to live, but we want to be able to supply our people with energy and, blah, blah, blah. And like, you guys are always wrong about us. You're always attacking us. You're, whatever. But I get it, like they're hard-headed. They're, they want to seem strong, right? And I think honestly, like if you're about to get into a fight with Brian Shaw, 6'9", 400-pound, power lifter, you'd be like, you better watch out. I got something you don't know about. You know what I'm saying? Like you're trying to scare him off. I got
a stupid story. I won't even talk about it. Whenever I was in college and we had gotten into it with a couple guys, and I mean, look, what I'll say is it benefits you sometimes to act like you're in a stronger position than you actually are.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and I want you to pull something up for me, Josh, real quick. This is the annual threat assessment that the Office of the Director of National Intelligence put out, right? And OD.
Oh, you want your laptop?
Yeah. So ODNI is the agency or the office that is essentially tasked with bringing together what intel we have and disseminating that to the president, for him to be able to make the best decision possible. So what's interesting about this ODNI report that came out is this is what it says about Iran's nuclear ambitions. And this is in our own ODNI report. Quote, we continue to assess Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and that Khamenei has not reauthorized the nuclear weapons program he suspended in 2003. So when you take our own intelligence report,
but how do you get to 60% then, though?
Well, you can't. What's at 60%? We don't even know if they can build a bomb.
Right. At
60%, it relies on them having a really good scientist to be able to allow them to build a bomb.
Yeah.
What we're saying is that at 60%, you could theoretically build a bomb if you have the right knowledge.
Yeah.
At 90%, you can bet your ass they can build a bomb.
Yeah.
Right? So you take what the ODNI report has here, and you couple that with the religious fatwas that were issued by Ayatollah Khamenei. You look at the Oman representative and his discussions of what the negotiations are saying. Are actually bearing fruit. And I have to ask myself, Josh, why did we make the decision to strike? We fast forward. Marco Rubio, one of the earlier folks who came out to provide justification. It all started with the nuclear. That was the justification.
I think I may have an answer why we decided to strike.
Do you think?
Just in my personal opinion.
Sure.
No facts behind it.
Yeah.
But let's just say, you look at all these things you've looked at, and you're like, all the evidence points to they're not going to build a nuclear bomb.
Now, at least.
Now, let's say, you rewind back to February and you're in negotiations. And you're the one making the decision, right? You got other countries like Israel, whoever, in your ear chirping, I'm telling you, they're building the bomb. They're building. Netanyahu doesn't sound like that, but and then
just ignored it. But Netanyahu's like the sticks, the small town Texas.
Anyway, so let's say you got all these people chirping in your ear, and you're like, let's say you believe it. You're like, man, look at all this evidence, and then somebody says, what if you're wrong? Mm-hmm. And to me, what if I'm wrong and one of my allies gets hit with a nuke, or they, whatever, or they hit, God forbid, the US or whoever with a nuke. It's like, what if you're wrong? And it's like, and then it's like the evidence stacks up. It's like, okay, well, they have lied. They have done this. They have, it's like that. Well, they say they're not, but we know they are. And it's like, well, okay, is there more evidence? So I guess the way I'll put it is, you think it's more likely that they were never going to build a bomb, or do you think it's more likely that they're lying and still trying to build a bomb?
Here's what I will say to that.
Yeah.
First of all, to take something you said, in order for Iran to strike the United States with a nuclear weapon, I think it's important for people to understand what technological ability it takes for them to have to be able to harness in order to do that, right? It's not just about enriching enough material to make a fat boy, essentially what we dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In order for Iran to hit the United States with a nuclear weapon, that requires them to have to be able to miniaturize that warhead to fit on a intercontinental ballistic missile that has the ability to exit and re-enter our atmosphere.
Yeah.
Now, given how long it took the United States to develop that capability, given how long it took the North Koreans to develop that capability, the idea that Iran has that ability, all I would say to that is, point me in some direction to some even version of intelligence that would allow us for us to, because what we're talking about is not.
No, I agree with you. I think what I'm just saying is, we don't know what we don't know.
We don't know what we don't know, which further emphasizes why the JCPOA was so important.
Yeah.
That further emphasizes why the president, instead of building upon it, he could have built upon the JCPOA. Right. Yeah. He could have made that agreement stronger. Yeah. He could have dangled more carrots in front of the Ayatollah and the regime and said, "Okay, we've lived up to our side of this agreement. We've done away with all these sanctions that have been strangling you and your people." I mean, they're fighting with aircraft from the 70s right now. Like the idea that we would just rip that agreement up. Yeah. That took 2 years to negotiate because it wasn't good enough. I mean, geez, and I hear what you're saying, and that's a good question. What if the Iranians are just pulling a quick one on us? Yeah, no, I get it.
I'm just saying, I definitely see both sides of it. It's like, well, you hope they're negotiating in good faith, all that stuff. But then again, it's like, man, do I gamble with my allies? Do I gamble with the life of my people, my troops, my, the people, my investments?
But let's be realistic, though. Who are we actually gambling with? The United States isn't at risk here. Yeah. We're just not.
UAE, Qatar, Israel. I mean, maybe the UK.
GCC countries. I think Israel is the country that faces the most direct threat, right? And again, it's not just about Iran having the ability to have a bomb. Yeah. Right? Because what do we know about you trying to develop your atomic weapons program or your nuclear weapons program? Well, you have to test these bombs. Yes. Right? So if you have one bomb and you test it, how many bombs do you have? You have 0 bombs. Yeah. If you test it once and that test goes wrong, you still have to do another test. So even if you have 2 and it goes wrong. My point is that Iran, from what we know, Iran has the ability, if they wanted to build 16 bombs similar to the bombs that we dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Yeah. Kill 75,000 people in a matter of 10 seconds, right? Yeah. It's a big deal. Yeah. And it's not something that we should just trust. Yeah. If the JCPOA was only built on trust, I would have been the first to say, trash that agreement. That's garbage. Yeah. We should just not trust the Iranians. But the JCPOA went further than that. Yeah. It had on-the-ground inspectors. And if you mean to tell me that what we have now is better than that, because right now, okay, so let's back up. Yeah. Summer of 2025, the administration decides they're going to target with the Israelis in an incredible mission, the Fordo and Natanz nuclear facilities, right? Bombed the hell out of them. President goes on the news and says they have been completely obliterated, right? They will not be able to develop a bomb for another, what do you say, 10 years or something like that?
Right.
Okay, fine. If let's say we take all of that at face value. Here we are today saying that they're 2 weeks away from being able to build a bomb. So what did we miss? Well, what we missed was the fact that, and I'm going to put this image up here.
Oh, we were on that the whole time. I did exactly what Holly did yesterday. Leave it on that screen the whole time.
That's how you know the conversation's going.
Yeah.
Here's what we missed. This is what we missed. This is satellite imagery that was taken of Fordo in the lead up to the B-2s going and bombing it, right? This long list of trucks showing up to this facility. Okay, what are they doing? What are they moving? What are you transporting with that many vehicles? Okay, so now your next question might naturally be, well, how do you move enriched uranium? Well, this is how you move it. You put it in massive, essentially oil drums.
The gas inside.
And you transport it.
Yeah.
Okay.
In steel containers. That's kind of crazy.
So let's just say, hypothetically, that before we bombed that facility, the Iranians moved all of their enriched material. Yeah. Which is highly likely because we haven't found it. Yeah. I think more so than them having the ability to build a bomb or having the, and granted, you do need facilities in order to do this stuff. It's not like, you know, it's not like building an IED. You don't have somebody down in a basement, like down there, like wiring up like a nuclear.
This takes scientists,
it's
smart
very,
people.
Very complex. Yeah. Very complex. And we know they don't have the facilities to do that right now. Yeah. So what are we doing? Okay. Like the reality of it is these two facilities right here are what we bought, or at least this one. Natanz and Fordo are what we bombed. Okay? Without these facilities, all they have is the enriched uranium, which we know is enriched right now. Yeah. Probably up to 60%. Now, can you build a bomb with that? Well, of course you can. But it takes a lot of know-how. It takes a lot of really good scientists to be able to get you there. So instead of the president getting on the news and telling us what he told us, maybe he should have said, we did great damage to these facilities. We have set Iran's nuclear program back a number of years, but we did not completely destroy it. They still have the ability to enrich uranium, or they still have enriched uranium. And with that enriched uranium, they have the ability to build a bomb of sorts. Is it a bomb that can threaten the United States? No, it is not. Yeah. Is it a bomb that could threaten allies in the region? Well, yes, it is. Yeah. Okay. What's fascinating about all of this is none of it was communicated, this attack, none of this was communicated to our allies. Yeah. None of it. Yeah. They were taken back, caught off guard just as much as everybody else was. Yeah. So if the truth is that they're now 2 weeks away from developing this, why would we not share that intelligence with our allies in the region? Why would we just make this decision with Netanyahu to strike Iran in this way, killing the Supreme Leader during the month of Ramadan, killing every one of the 50 senior leaders that could have replaced him, to only be left with the person in charge now, Mujtaba Khamenei, his son, who is much more likely to actually develop a nuclear weapon than his father was. Right. His father, who had issued 2 fatwas against building a nuclear weapon. The son, who's more closely aligned and almost hand-chosen by the IRGC than his father was. Yeah. Or unlike his father, who, yes, was able to wield and have influence and power over the IRGC. But this guy who, right now we don't really know if he's alive or dead. What we know is that he appears to have been alive. Pete Hegseth was on the television the other day talking about the fact that they believe he's alive, but they believe he's disfigured. But here we are. We've killed this guy's father. We've killed this guy's wife. And we've disfigured him. Yeah, yeah. The idea that they're now going to just negotiate with us. Right. And what's the goal here for him? His main goal is to make this war make it hurt America as much as he possibly can. He knows he can't do that through military means.
Yeah.
So he's going to do it economically. He's going to do it politically. When you look at Vietnam, when you look at the Taliban, we are the dominant military force on the planet. Very few countries can compete with us going toe-to-toe militarily.
Yeah.
Countries like Iran, countries like Vietnam, and the Taliban in Afghanistan, what they've learned is something different. What they've learned is how to fight the political side of this war.
Get the certain Americans on their side.
Not necessarily get Americans on their side, but make Americans so frustrated with the lack of progress in a war that is now extended beyond the time period you told us it was going to. It's costing us much more than you told us it was going to.
Yeah.
And more Americans are now dead than you told us there was going to be.
Right.
That's the politics of this. We're entering into an election year this year. And we have a president that said that we've already won this war, yet the Strait of Hormuz continues to remain closed. He says that this might last 4 to 6 weeks.
Which is interesting about the Strait of Hormuz.
Sure.
They say that Iranian ships are still getting through.
So ask yourself the question, what does closed mean to you? Does it mean that no ships get through or that no ships want to go through?
Yeah, exactly. So here's my thinking on it. So obviously they know where the mines are because they supposedly put out mines and they, whatever. I'm like, why can't we just watch what path they drive down? Like, then we know there's no mines there.
But you have to remember this, right?
Yeah.
What we found out was that the Russians were providing intelligence to the Iranians as far as the ability to have better targets to hit. Okay.
Well, I heard rumor is that like substantiated?
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
And it's not a shock. We do the same thing. We do the same thing with the Ukrainians in the war against Russia. Yeah. So it's not like this is something they're doing that we haven't done.
Yeah.
Right? This is just what it is. Now, you have to ask yourself, okay, so what type of targets then? Because Mustafa Khamenei has made it very clear what his goal is. Keep the Strait of Hormuz closed. Yeah. That's what he wants. That is what their goal is. Because if they're able to keep it closed, the economic, globally, by the way, economic consequences of that are going to be so severe that we're going to wish we never made this decision.
Well, so I think also the UK, who is, in my opinion, maybe compromised by Muslim.
This is a theory, by the way.
Yes, yeah, a theory. They also want the Strait of Hormuz to close because
I haven't seen that.
Well, here's why: Lloyd's of London insures 80% of all ships that go through there. Lloyd's of London pulled all their policies. They say, well, we'll no longer insure a ship that goes through the Strait of Hormuz.
Okay, so I get that angle.
Yeah.
But do you think that's because they want the Strait of Hormuz to be closed? Or do you think it's more so because they're concerned that their involvement, which would... Yeah. I mean, there are many ways you can be involved in a conflict. Right now, there are 20 countries involved in this conflict. Yeah. Given the high number of Muslims within that country, do you think that them wanting this...
They don't want to be seen as like a partner to it?
Well, I mean, not just... but you have to also keep in mind, Keir Starmer, like, him and Trump have been going toe-to-toe. Yeah. Over this deal, right? Like the UK said that they were going to send ships to the region to help, and Trump said, "Don't worry about it. The war's already won."
Venezuela was the start of like a long-term plan to like change the geopolitical outlook of the entire world into a more pro-US, like bring in allies, make allies of countries who used to be enemies. Essentially,
here's what I will say. I think that is the plan. Yeah, you know, if there's a plan,
because we're all looking for what's the plan in Iran or whatever. Yeah.
Well, my thing with Iran is not so much how does this play into the larger narrative. My thing with Iran is, I mean, look, we don't have to look at it that far. Yeah. Like I think if we're focusing on that alone while failing to look at what's right in front of us, that doesn't do us any good. For me, I think fundamentally shifting the geopolitics is absolutely the goal and intent of this administration. I mean, they've made that clear.
Yeah.
I think they've made that really clear.
Yeah.
The success of that
Low percentage, obviously.
depends on other nations
Yeah.
not telling us to go F ourselves.
Yeah.
What's happening right now is other nations are telling us to go F ourselves.
Yeah.
Or like when you say make allies out of, I think at the end of the day, right, it is the money that does the most talking.
For sure. Yeah.
Right? Behind that, though, is a public. And a lot of times people don't realize how important public sentiment
Yeah.
is to the support of a government that will lead to that government being successful in whatever sort of way.
Yeah.
Right? This administration is trying to accomplish something so grand while Americans are not able to afford health care.
Right.
Our streets are crumbling. Our education system sucks. And we're trying to reorient the world as if that's something that can be accomplished in one administration.
Right.
I think the overarching goal of that and the audacity for people to even be focused on that is it's just a little bit naive to me. And
right. And here's my follow up to that is I think that's why the SAVE Act is so important to them. Because for whatever reason, they think that the SAVE Act is going to allow, Marco Rubio or Vance or whoever, or maybe both of them, to like carry on the lineage, like to be elected as president. It like gives them a higher percentage to continue this plan into the future. And I think like that's the real motivation behind the SAVE Act is like they realize like there's at least somebody in there that's not stupid, and they realize, hey, this can't be done in 2 years. Mm-hmm. Like this is going to have to be multiple presidencies out to the foreseeable future. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like when I look, because you talk about Iraq and the invasion of Iraq and all that stuff. That was 20 years ago now. The Middle East was different then, even 20 years ago. Like we're partners, basically, like essentially allies with Qatar, right? Like at least in a lot of business things. Mm-hmm. Shoot, Qatar gave us a big jet that we get to fly around, so that's good. We have more support in the Middle East than I think we've ever had before. And I think, we talked about last time where they were like, they said that this is the perfect timing. I think it plays into that too. I think that they think like, hey, we have some friendlies now in the Middle East that we didn't have before. And I think they think that this can be different than Iraq. Like they think
who in the Middle East would you say is friendly to us now that wasn't under the previous administration?
Well, so I would say that they might have been friendly back then. I didn't do research on whether they were back then, but I think the ties have gotten much closer with like Qatar and the UAE.
But why?
And
you have to ask
Israel.
But you have to ask yourself, diplomacy was what I saw with the negotiations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say it was like we went through it, but it's like, who we don't know what we don't know. You know what I'm saying? But yeah.
But here's what I'll say, right? If the goal was to get the Iranians to come back to the table, what more do we want them to give up? Like to tell another nation that you can't enrich at all when one of the countries that is part of the reason why they feel like they even need a bomb wet behind our backs to develop a nuclear weapon.
Right.
Who are we to tell? And they also just saw what happened with Ukraine.
But also
Russia.
Israel though doesn't chant death to Iran. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and there we go back to the bluster.
But if we're focusing on that is so stupid on our part. Like these people have been saying this.
Well, I agree.
Is it annoying? Is it like a bee sting or something?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's annoying that they say that.
Yeah.
But man, if we take what people say about the United States on its face every single time in our dealings internationally, and so we bomb them and kill their leader, like, man, I just don't even know what to say to that. Like,
well, I mean, I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. Like, you got to take what they're saying just like with a grain of salt. But it's also like, I just think like the factors added up. It's like, okay, so for 47 years, they've been saying death to America. They come into the negotiations and say, we're days away from a nuclear bomb.
I mean, I would have to see that.
Yeah.
Because
that was just on the words of.
I don't trust
Fetterman.
Yeah. I respect him in the way that he tries to play like this, sort of middle ground Democrat. But he said some crazy. He also said we just need to kill them all.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, dude, Fetterman isn't my go-to for like.
Right. Well, I just think, okay, so let's say it's true, right? And they say those things.
Sure.
I think you can put all the like death to America. Okay. Yeah. Cool. All that stuff to the side, and you can put the fatwa for not making nuclear bombs and stuff, and then them still enriching uranium. And you're like, okay, yeah, but they're still trying to do their thing, whatever. But then whenever you like start adding them together, it's kind of like, and like I said, I'm not 100%. I don't really like the way we went into the war, but I can also see why maybe they did, and I from the start of it didn't like going into it.
So then why are they not telling the American people that? I don't get it.
Yeah.
If their reason was to say that, Josh, you and we are normal people.
Yeah.
We have day jobs. We have kids. We have, like as far as the list of things that we spend any given moment concerned about, it's like normal people stuff.
Yeah.
Right? We just expect our government to do the right thing, except we know that we can't expect them to do that.
Yeah.
And he's not the first one.
Yeah.
But if you're the president of the United States and that is your justification, why don't you tell the American people? Because
I agree.
We're over here assuming.
Yeah.
But none of that is coming from this administration. What they're telling us is that we thought Israel was going to strike first, so we struck first so as to not be struck. That was one.
Yeah.
Then there was a different justification that they were going to strike us. With what?
Yeah.
That doesn't even make sense. The justifications keep changing, and none of them are what you're saying.
Right.
So how am I supposed to?
No, I'm saying in hindsight, like to me, I'm like in hindsight, like I just feel like if this like totalitarian, authoritarian, whatever regime is no longer in power in Iran, it does the world a service. That's the only thing I'm getting at. Like, as long as things come out obviously better, and your definition of better is whatever it is, but like, I don't see how getting rid of the number one sponsor of terrorism, who we have to spend billions of dollars on a year, and who they sponsor terrorism all across, not just,
of course,
like, I just don't see, like, if we can come out of this better, that the world is better,
and if we come out of this better, with the regime not in place, fine. Fine. What I'm saying, though, is that for us to just trust that our government is going to make the right decisions in the Middle East, with the president that ran on getting us out of the Middle East. There's nothing that allows me to put my faith in that.
Yeah, I absolutely see that.
And I think that's why this is one of the most unpopular wars in American history. Because the justification isn't there. And
like I said, I guess I'm just like kind of coming from a hopeful slant or something,
man, and I want to be hopeful. I want this to work out in the same way I want Venezuela to work out, in the same way I want Cuba to work out. The issue that I'm having is that the people that I'm supposed to trust with getting this worked out are also the most incompetent people in positions of power that the United States has ever had. Now, I'm not talking about the president. But I'm talking about the Fox News host.
Right.
This is Jared Kushner. Right? People who have never dealt in negotiations in their lives are the people that we're trusting to handle some of the most complex issues.
I do have issue with that. It's just obviously he sticks to the people he knows, which
He sticks
is
to the
good
people
or
he
bad.
trusts
Yes,
that are loyal to him.
yeah, exactly. Like people he knows, like he's, good faith. And I don't necessarily like that. I wish like we could just get like experts. But I think the sad reality is like, I don't know if any administration is just going to go straight for the expert.
But let me tell you, I don't even want an expert, Josh.
Yeah.
What I want is just one voice that the president listens to that will tell him no. That
Right.
This is a stupid decision.
Yeah.
Nobody in this administration. Well, I was listening to a really good analyst talk about this the other day, and they were like, it's so weird to hear the way that members of the cabinet talk about U.S. policies, specifically foreign policy,
Yeah.
and how much they mention the president's name.
Mm-hmm.
Never before in American history, when we've talked about these things, has it all came back to the person. It's always been we or the United States or our.
Yeah.
And all you see is the president, President Trump, president. And it's weird. And it lets me know that he is just who I thought he was.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy the guy's making his cabinet wear the shoes that he wants them to wear, despite the fact that they don't even fit them.
Yeah. Marco Rubio was in like,
I mean, Josh, let's just say it's weird, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't trust them. And I don't trust when the president gets up and says, I'm exonerated, when there's evidence suggesting that he could be a pedophile, when the president stands up and says, we did not bomb that school, that it was the Iranians because they have Tomahawk missiles, and is so willing to lie instead of just saying, I don't know.
Right.
We're investigating it. The dude can't tell the truth. And the fact that he can't tell we don't even know how many service members have been actually killed over there.
Right.
We have no clue. And when the press asks questions about it, they get defensive that we're not just reporting on the military successes that they're having.
Yeah.
It's weird, man. And like, I'm sorry, I can't trust that.
Right.
I want it to work out. But I think part of how this works out is we, the people, putting political pressure on this administration to keep it honest.
Right.
That's what I think.
No, I mean, I'm all for that.
Here,
I'm all for that. I want to know everything. I want to know everything. Yeah, absolutely.
Let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
How, as it relates to it, because we're going to have to hop off here in a minute.
Oh, yeah.
As it relates to this war in Iran, and I know this is kind of a tough question.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not expecting you to have a perfect.
Okay.
But what does the ideal outcome look like for you?
Ideal outcome.
Yeah.
Okay. For Iran,
Yes.
ideal outcome is I don't even care about regime change, right? But what I want is somebody in charge who is a decent human, who will agree to never target their people again. Never ever, like, you're gonna be, whether you like it or not, a little bit more Western and allow your people to have a voice, right? And another thing that I would like to see there is I would like to see them cooperate across all of the Middle East, not just with Russia and China. I would like to see them come into the fold as like a genuine nation on this world. Like, I don't want to see Iran anymore. I don't want to see in the news that they sponsored terrorism again. I don't want to see in the news that they killed these people. I don't want to see that Hamas did such and such and Iran funded them. I want them to, I guess, honestly, just be level-headed, in a way. And I know that's probably asking a lot.
I don't think it's asking a lot.
Yeah.
I think everything you've listed out is pretty pragmatic. I think it's a pragmatist approach to this.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say is, if we're going to be the country that's asking that of another nation, then we need to be giving ourselves that advice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, for example, when we talk about funding terror, we fund the Kurds. The Turks call them terrorists.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? We fund Israel. Israel keeps building settlements in the West Bank. what they've done in Palestine. And I'm not suggesting that Israel wasn't right to respond to the October attacks. But what I will say is they've gone above and beyond in terms of what has taken place down there in Palestine.
Right.
A terrorist is nothing more than a human being that's fighting for one side or the other.
Right.
Depending on which side of things you're on, what dictates whether or not you're the terrorist. So let me tell you, this is what I want to come out of this.
Yeah.
I want the number of American casualties to be as low as absolutely possible.
Yes. Agreed.
I want American national security interests to be advanced. I want America to become safer depending on what we do in Iran. Mm-hmm. As far as what Iran looks like, man, that is up to the Iranian people. That is not up to us. And if we start trying to make this into a game of we get to decide what's best for them, we are going to be back here again in 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
Assuming that all of this works out really well. The Iranian people have to decide what they want their country to look like.
I agree.
The fact of the matter is, not everybody, Iran is a country of 90 million people, right? Not all of those 90 million are celebrating and chanting and supportive of what we are doing. There's a lot of people who really hate us in Iran because of what we've done. There's a lot of people that really hate us all throughout the Middle East and the Muslim world for what we've done because they've seen it before. Now, what I want to have come out of Iran is I want there to be a government that is obviously not oppressive. Mm-hmm. As far as them giving us what we want and them like working with man, if I'm the Iranian people, I wouldn't care about any of that. Mm-hmm. Right? Like their country should not be formed based off of what is best for the United States. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But that's like saying that if out of the American Revolution, we all were supposed to be more French leaning.
Right.
Or more, no.
Yeah.
We got to create what we wanted here.
Yeah.
Based off of what works best for our people.
Yeah. Agreed. And I'm just saying, I think I described it as more Western, just in.
I know what you mean.
Like I want them to be happy. Yeah.
Of course, right? Yeah. And I want that for them too.
Yeah.
I want this to work out well. Mm-hmm. Again, I think the only way that this works out well is if the American people and the Iranian Americans keep the pressure on this administration to be honest about the situation.
Yeah. Because
at the end of the day, the decisions that are being made behind these closed doors that you or I might not ever know about are going to dictate what this all looks like.
Yeah.
Right? For example, we didn't plan on Mojtaba Khamenei being the supreme leader of Iran right now.
Yeah.
Right? But he is. Yeah. Why? Because the Israelis killed everybody else.
Right.
So my point is that like, if we want this to work out, we have to be willing to put pressure on our own government to be honest, transparent, and to the extent that they can, stick to the most immediate goals and objectives. The only problem with that is, like, what are they?
Right.
They said that they were going to be targeting missile capabilities. Okay. Targeting the naval capabilities. Cool. Targeting nuclear sites. Fine. They've been very successful at doing those things. Yet we're still sending troops to the region, and I would give it a matter of a month before we have boots on the ground over there, which then takes this whole thing to a whole nother level.
I would be interested to know if you can destroy enriched uranium. Can you just bomb it?
You can.
But would that create like...
It would probably have some environmental issues.
That's what I'm wondering. And what you said earlier about maybe that's why the troops are going in there.
Well, you're not going to... Iran's military is the size of our military, right? They know that country better. If there's one thing we should have learned about the Middle East is that we don't do well fighting in another person's country, right? Yeah. We didn't do well fighting in Vietnam.
Yeah.
If the goal is to send troops there to further the goal of regime change, we're going to need a lot more than 5,000.
Yeah.
A shit ton more than 5,000. So I have to think that the only reason why we're sending 5,000 is to try to figure out where this enriched uranium is.
Right. Yeah.
Which each day that goes by where we don't know is a big problem.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't want boots on the ground. I don't want it to turn into something like that. But you think about it though. I was going to say, it logically, how can it not?
Man, I put out a video a couple weeks back, and one of the things that I said was this was a decision that he chose this. Mm-hmm. He chose to do this. And for anybody that's like, he didn't have a choice. When you strike first, you always got a choice.
Right.
There were negotiations going on. We didn't have to do this. We just didn't. But we chose, so here we are. Mm-hmm. At this point, the worst thing that we could possibly do, as I said in that video, is kick the hornet's nest and pretend that we can just now like walk away.
Right.
As if we just leave, things are going to go. Now, what we can do is cut our losses and, take it as this would be a political loss. We didn't accomplish regime change. We don't know where the enriched uranium is. And we've just put a leader in Iran that is more likely to try to develop a bomb than any of the other people that we might have wanted. Mm-hmm. So,
which I think probably means that he'll die also at some point if he's not already. But
he very well.
Yeah.
But we're not going to be able to bomb our way to regime change.
Right.
It's just not going to happen. We can keep bombing. We can keep killing. They will keep dying, and a new person will
step up,
yeah. and he'll probably be less informed, have more control being placed over him by the IRGC and the people you really don't want to have in power.
Right.
We'll see where this all goes. Mm-hmm. We want the same thing.
Yeah. For sure.
I think how we get those things. Well, I think the only way we can get those things is if we keep the administration honest.
I agree. And I want to know, like I said, I want to know it all. I want to know how many American citizens have actually died, soldiers of Israel. I want to know everything. I want to know the total costs. I want to know, everything that's not classified. I want to know about, because I want to make sure that I'm making, like a good, just that my mind is in the right space. You know what I'm saying? Because it's important. I get that people are going to die. It's war. But, honestly, if they came up and they said, oh, yeah, we accidentally bombed a mall and killed 3,000 people, I'm going to be like, yo, that was no mistake now. You know what I'm saying? Man, we can't do that, That's it. That would tick me off,
And one thing we cannot be forgetting about during all of this is that it's an election year.
Yeah.
Democrats are going to take the House. Mm-hmm. There's a good chance that because of this war, they could take the Senate. Mm-hmm. If that happens, this president is going to get impeached. Mm-hmm. He's going to get impeached in the middle of a conflict to where we've had very few good options. Mm-hmm. I hope that, which is for me.
So if he was impeached, who takes over? JD Vance, I guess?
Well, the vice president would, yeah.
Guess they could just keep impeaching.
Well, I think a lot of people. I don't know where we go with all of this.
Yeah.
All I know is that a lot more. You're going to start seeing a lot more Epstein stuff. Mm-hmm. You're going to start seeing a lot more hearings, a lot more questions answered, and probably a lot more people going to jail. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you get around that. And so, if you're the president, the decisions that you're making, if you're not looking at the November midterms as a timeline for when you need to try to have your successes lined up, then I don't know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Because November is which to me, that's why they care about the SAVE Act more. Yeah. I think the SAVE Act is less about, in some form, none of this is popular.
Yeah.
None of what is happening in America right now is popular anymore.
Yeah.
And the economy is not doing well.
Yeah, so the SAVE Act is absolutely about making sure that Republicans have the best chance possible to win the elections.
Which I don't understand, because it's to me.
Yeah,
it seems like Republicans might be hurt most by this kind of everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's weird.
We are in some strange times, my friend. Yeah. And it is us having the ability to have these conversations that I think is what is just the most important thing out of all of it. Getting silenced, getting shut down, being told what you can and what you cannot talk about. Man, that's not America.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Not America.
Yeah.
we've run out of time, folks.
Yeah.
I love the conversation.
Yeah, me too.
I really did. And I think that like there's this war is not going to end tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's not going to end in a week. I highly doubt it ends in 6 weeks. And I would venture to say that the moment we put boots on the ground, we've entered into a whole new phase of this conflict. In which case, that's where it's going to get really, really interesting because a lot of people don't want us there.
Right.
A lot of people do. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I thought we were going to be arming the Kurds, by the way. What happened to that plan? I knew that was it.
Yeah.
I kind of had a feeling. I was like, they trust us again?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a little bit strange.
Yeah. You saw it. You saw it beforehand.
Man, I'm like, no, why would they do that?
Yeah. That already bit them once. Yeah.
Twice. It's been great, man.
Yeah.
Let's keep having the conversations. Let's keep talking about it. If you're out there and if you're watching, you're always welcome to ask us questions. Send us an email, drop us a comment.